Now that you've chosen your large language model, I'm going to show you a few settings that would make sense to toggle on and fill out once you're in there. What I know to put in there now would have been different than what I would have put in there a year ago. So this is always dynamic. So let's get into it. Okay. So I just logged in to ChatGPT with my secondary account because I've been trying to demonstrate this for people. I have my primary account where I have most of my settings, and this other one, I don't have the paid plan, and I don't have the same amount of content in here because it is kind of one I demonstrate with. So this is the free plan. You can upgrade, and there's a couple different platforms there. Over here, you have the chats that you've had, and if you want to add a new chat, you'll hop in here. So this is where you would ask it a particular question and help generate whatever you're trying to do. We're not going to get into prompting right now. I'm just going to talk about the settings. These are the settings. You can go through and set them the way you want. I just leave most of the things as defaults. Notifications, you don't really have to worry about that right now. Personalization is where you're going to take the first step of customizing this ChatGPT. And you're going to fill out these different fields: custom instructions, nickname, occupation, and any other more information that would be helpful. So I have an example of what I would do there. And so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to fill in a few examples of how I might fill this out. These might be more in depth than you're ready to go into right now, and that is completely fine. Your customs instructions could be as simple as keep writing simple, clear, instructive. You could also ask it to respond in hypercritical ways or supportive ways. I want it to be sure to ask clarifying questions when it's confused or it needs more information. If I have not prompted it properly, I want it to ask me clarifying questions so we can get really specific about things. I've gotten better and better at giving it more and more information so it gets hyper-specific. But to me, that is one of the biggest unlocks in getting it to not sound generic, is to have it ask clarifying questions and push me to provide more information. So I'm going to copy these instructions over. And they have some examples you could pull from. What do I want it to call me? I want it to call me Nora. Occupation. I am a food blogger, an AI educator, and I teach ceramics. And I sometimes use ChatGPT in my day. I'm just going to give it all that context. I don't use it that much for my household. So those are the primary rules that I want it to be aware of. If I was also a soccer coach who was trying to come up with practice plans for my team frequently, I would probably tell it that as well. But these are the primary things I need it for. So I put that in. Now I'm going to go here. So I have a little bit more information about what I do in those different roles and my focuses on beans and lentils. It's my personal niche. I want my tone to be warm, friendly, and down to earth. I don't want to be super formal. And some of the things you can if you're having a hard time clarifying what you are, you can sometimes just narrow it down by saying, I am not formal. You don't have to get crazy in depth about this. You could leave more information empty for now. And as you go through this mini course, I'll start to ask you to get more and more specific. There's going to be some exercises where we can come back and get more specific. You can leave it pretty concrete too. I use this for Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, planning content, organizing projects, all of those things. So I'm going to copy this over and put it in here. Don't worry if you feel like you don't have all this fleshed out right now. This is just the tip of the iceberg about how you're going to inform the ChatGPT about what you do. Do not get more granular than this in here, because we are going to cover how to get really granular later. If your chat is going to use this as a guiding principles, it is not going to follow any instructions you put in here to the T. We need to do that in a different way. And this just gives the ChatGPT an introduction to you and that's fine. So don't spend 2 hours writing what this is. I have this information ready to go because it's in a lot of my other context documents. So keep it simple. It can be 1 to 2 sentences. It could be as simple as 1 word. Set an alarm for yourself, a few minutes, fill this out, and then move on. Now, this is essential. You really want to make sure that your memory is on. You want this tool to get better by interacting with it. This is what's really amazing about these tools is it will start to personalize itself to your interaction with it. So keep your memory on. Okay, over on my paid account, you'll see that there is one more segment that is not on the free account, and these are these ChatGPTs. And these were really helpful. And then when projects came out, I've found them that much more helpful. We are going to go over projects in the next video, but that is how I would get started with crafting your settings to be as specific to you as possible. Again, I would put a cap on how long you put your time into this, because in a few videos from now, I'm going to help you walk through some frameworks that are going to make you think a little bit more detail oriented about how you want your voice to come across in collaborative writing with your ChatGPT or your Claude. And those documents are going to outputs much more specifically than anything you're going to put in the settings. It's just a good starting point, but don't spend a long time on that. But do turn the memory on. Okay, I'll see you soon.